YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with my Week 8 college football picks against the spread for some of the top games. We do this video every single week. We also got plenty of NFL content, weekly picks, score predictions, power rankings, and more. Patreon has some best bets for both NFL, college football, some score predictions as well. Check it out. Link down below. Link down below for our Twitter as well. Constant updates, NFL updates, talking during live games, college football, NFL. So, yeah, link down below. It'll be much appreciated if you can check it out. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. It'll be much appreciated as well. There's the leaderboard for our picks group for college football, picks against the spread. And it seems like the same people at the top for the most part. I think at the top, Bad 87, I think that's a new name. I don't recognize that name. So he's up at the top now, or that person is. Yeah, those are impressive records, to say the least. I think it's been a strange season. So very unpredictable season. So 40, yeah, against the spread, those are ridiculous numbers. For this week, first game, Wake Forest and Army. It's a tricky one right away. I want to like Wake Forest right away. Because I think they should be able to take care of business there. They're going to have more offense than Wisconsin did last week, Wisconsin had control of that game against Army, but it kind of stayed close. And but it just really depends on how this game starts. If Wake Forest comes out and they score right away, they start with the ball, then I'm feeling really good about them covering. If our Army gets the ball first and just drains a whole bunch of clock and scores and just throws Wake Forest off, they kind of were a little off against Syracuse in that way as well. So it's really how this game starts. I'm gonna go Wake Forest. They got more offense than Wisconsin, so they should be able to put up more points and kind of keep a bigger lead there. So it's very tough to compare previous games, though. We're comparing Army and Wisconsin from last game, but Wake Forest they've had a pretty good year so far, and they had a off week to prepare for this. Cincinnati and Navy 27.5 is a lot of points. I'm gonna take Cincinnati though. It's just hard for me to see Navy getting anything going. Cincinnati have the right game plan. Of course, Navy's game plan is always about, it's going to involve running clock, but I see too many 3-and-outs. I see too many 3-and-outs there. Cincinnati getting the ball quick. They should be able to cover. It's a lot of points, though. So that's a tough one. Oklahoma State, Iowa State. There's been a ton of these this year where I'm surprised and they look like obvious. Yes, I got to put money on that, and then it's just a weird outcome. But Oklahoma State plus 6.5. I'm surprised by that. They're playing really good football. Have they played the top teams, in the Big 12? I mean, Texas is a pretty damn good win, especially how they played in the fourth quarter, second half. Boise wins a pretty solid one. Iowa State's been struggling. I think Oklahoma State can win this game, so them plus 6.5 is seems like a very good one there. Yeah, right under 7. So if they lose by 7, that's a tough one, which we do realize that's a possibility. But I like Oklahoma State in this one. I haven't been thrilled with Iowa State at all. The way they struggle with Baylor, this could be a similar matchup to that. So, again, I'm surprised that Oklahoma State is underdogs in this one. Oregon, UCLA. Oregon just doesn't seem the same as they were early season. And I guess legitimate excuses for that. They had some injuries. Justin Flo being a big one, and offense, some situation going on with their offensive coordinator as well. He hasn't really been, at the games, calling the games, so that's interesting. UCLA they slowed down since the start as well, but they had a pretty good win against Washington last week. This is a tough one. I think UCLA wins I have them winning by about a field goal, so it's just over the 2.5. As you can tell, it's a tough one there. Clemson and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, to me, technically Wake Forest is the best team in the ACC. Feels like for me right now, feels like Pittsburgh, to me, might be the best team when it's all said and done. It's just the way they're playing. They have a weird loss to Western Michigan. Hey, Western Michigan might be pretty decent, but it's kind of an odd loss. Other than that, they've played very well. Clemson has struggled. They're lucky to get by Syracuse. I shouldn't say lucky. They were lucky to not go to overtime against Syracuse last week. Pittsburgh, a much better team. It's a weird one because from everything that's happened and the way these teams have looked, I feel like Pittsburgh's going to win by maybe close to a touchdown. So they should cover. It feels like they're the better team and they're at home here. They have the much better quarterback, Kenny Pickett, over DJ Uiagalelei. So that's surprising to say the least. But I don't know. I get this weird feeling that, because Clemson's been underwhelming. There's a part of me that just thinks they can they play like Clemson again in this game just because everyone's starting finally doubting them. They play Syracuse, they're going to handle business. They're going to play NC State, they're going to handle business. No, they struggle. They actually lose to NC State. But for some, I think their defense could maybe give Pittsburgh some problems they haven't seen yet, possibly. I know Pickett hasn't been under a lot of pressure yet. Could Clemson do that? I'm kind of back and forth on this one, as you can tell. So I probably wouldn't touch it. Originally, I was like, yes, I like Pittsburgh minus 3.5. I think they're just way better than Clemson right now. They're going by a touchdown. I'm still going to go Pittsburgh. I think it's closer than a touchdown. It's why it's so tough. I think Pittsburgh's going to win somewhere in between 3 and 7, But there is a part of me, like I said, that Clemson can just kind of surprise us and play like the old Clemson here in a big game like this where it's kind of a must-win for both these teams. So it's a little scary, that one. San Diego State and Air Force, another one. San Diego State's been playing super well. Air Force, for the most part, has been playing well as well. But San Diego State's been playing very well this year. Surprised they're underdogs. Last week, I think that's why. They were very close with San Jose State. San Jose State's been struggling way more than we expected to. And that game went to overtime, actually. So San Diego State struggled with a team that they should really just beat up. So maybe that's why they're underdogs. But that was, in San Jose State. Was that a Friday night game? Those games are always weird. So I'm going to take San Diego State. I think they're going to win this game. So getting the 3.5 is pretty good there. They can lose by a field goal and you're still feeling pretty good. So I like San Diego State in this one. This is a really good game. Nevada versus Fresno State. Carson Strong, maybe the best quarterback for the upcoming NFL draft. He's had a real good year. Nevada's had some really tight games. They're 5-1. Fresno State's 5-2. That's a tough one. This is a tough one because Nevada plays everybody close, and they're finding ways to win. I mean, it probably helps that they got a very good quarterback there. Fresno State, if it wasn't for the Hawaii game, I'd be really feeling Fresno State in this one. That's one of those games that shows this year's very weird because they play Oregon tough, and I kind of felt like Fresno State was decent coming into this year, but they play Oregon tough. I'm like, this team might be pretty good, and I like them. With the points against UCLA, and they beat them. So it's like, all right, Fresno State's legit, and they kind of blow that next game there. I like their defense, though. This is probably going to be lower scoring. I think Fresno State – this is tough. I think Fresno State wins the game. I'm gonna take Fresno. I think they win by. That's tough. This is a very tough one. I think they're gonna win by close to a touchdown. I think their defense presents some things that Nevada hasn't seen. It's a true game it's weird, but it's a true test for Carson Strong to play Fresno State. I like Fresno State's defense, well coached defense, and I think he'll play all right. I think it's just a low scoring game. I'll take the better defense in that one. That's tough though, because Nevada. It's tough because it's so appealing because Nevada could very realistically win that game. They got the better quarterback out there, even though it's a very good quarterback battle here. And they're getting 4.5. So it's I can argue it myself back and forth on this one. USC Notre Dame. I like Notre Dame. I like that it's just under 7. I think they can win by 7 to. I could see them winning by 7. I could see them winning by 10. I was about to say 7 to 10 range, but I could see them winning big. USC struggled to some teams that we think they should be better than. It struggled big time. They got beat up pretty big by some of those teams. Oregon State, Utah recently gave up 42 to Utah. Not a high-powered offense there. Notre Dame's been struggling offensively a little bit. They end up clutching up, putting up some good points against Virginia Tech, who's a very good defense. So maybe Notre Dame figured something out. This is a much easier defense to go against. So there's a scenario where I could see Notre Dame scoring an insane amount of points just because the weaker defense and Notre Dame's kind of figured things out. And this is Notre Dame's played very good defenses, and this is actually one of the weaker defenses they've played. So I could see high scoring, but they struggle with protecting the quarterback, and they struggle with their quarterback swapping them in and out. So I can see them kind of shooting themselves in the foot. So it's a very tricky one here. USC has so many playmakers on offense. Notre Dame's defense very solid, but since USC has so many good playmakers, so the talented players, all over the place. They could. Will they score enough? That is the question. So it just it really comes down on Notre Dame not shooting themselves in the foot with their maybe some sloppy quarterback play. I think Notre Dame should be able to win by around 10 points here. So I like Notre Dame minus 6.5. It's one of those huge rival games, though, where anything can happen just because it's that big of a rival game. So that makes it a little tricky. Ohio State and Indiana. I was originally thinking Indiana in this one because Ohio State's been beaten up on some teams with that just plain and simple can't keep up with them anywhere near them in terms of the opponent's offenses. But now they play Indiana, who does have some offense, but they have the injuries as well. So really thinking about that, I do think Ohio State's kind of getting better too on both sides of the ball. Defense was bad early year. Now I do feel like it's better. So maybe another game where you could kind of test it, see. So I was originally thinking Indiana on this one with the points, but I'm switching that. And it was originally 20 or so. So it came down a little bit. So I'll take Ohio State minus 19.5. That's a tough one, though. Another tough one. NC State, Miami. I actually like NC State a lot in this one. Miami hasn't been playing good ball. They lost in a tough way last week. Lost in a tough way a few times in the last couple weeks here, actually. So I maybe sucked the life out of them a little bit. NC State is playing really good football. I talk about Pittsburgh, Wake Forest, NC State, top teams in the ACC. NC State, they play pretty well on both sides of the ball. That's what I like. They're pretty damn balanced. So I think they can slow down Miami. At the same time, I think they'll have, no problem scoring on them. The Boston College game was surprising to me. I thought Boston College could win that game, realistically. And NC State just gave it to them. They just showed they're better on both sides of the ball here. And they just presented a matchup problem for a team like that. Miami's a pretty similar team in terms of where their strengths and weaknesses are. So NC State just, again, might just be better on both sides of the ball where it's just too much of a problem for Miami. I think they win by 7 to 10 points. They're favored by, and again, the way they handle Boston College, it could look like more than that, but they're only favored by 3.5. I really like the way they're playing. They are away, so that kind of makes it a little tougher. So yeah, some of these games, NC State I like. Is that Oklahoma State I definitely like. Wake Forest originally one was like I jotted down like, okay, I really like that one, but it kind of scares me. What if Army starts with the ball and just, it just makes them sit in the sideline, drains the clock, less opportunities for Wake Forest. So it's a little tricky there. Notre Dame minus 6.5. I want to like that one, but again, sometimes these games, Notre Dame, USC, are just closer. Sometimes, recently, Notre Dame's been a lot better than USC, but then you would think, based on the talent, Notre Dame should win by 20, but then they go in and it's extremely close, and it used to be the kind of the opposite. It felt like USC had way more talent in the past at one point, but it still ends up close. It's just kind of one of those matchups. So yeah, those are my Week 8 college football picks against the spread for some of the top games. We got more, or my best bets coming to Patreon, as you see above me. That's for the NFL as well. Some of that's already up. Some will go up. So check it out. Link down below for that, and our Twitter as well. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications on. It'd be much appreciated if you can help us out there. Full NFL coverage here. If you're new, just here for the college football content, you're interested in NFL, we got an insane amount of NFL content here, so check it out. That'll do it for this one, though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.